Welcome back to this week's episode of Spirit of Creating. And in this week's podcast episode, I wanted to talk about creating as if no one's looking. And it kind of came from the idea of, when we're children and we're making art or creating anything, we aren't always very aware of an outside audience. We're just creating because we want to. There's a desire to create something, and then we're going at it and we're creating. And it can be very different to when we create thinking somebody's looking. And I think now, in a world of social media and Instagram and TikTok, when we share our work, we're aware that there are a lot of people looking. Even if there aren't a lot of people looking, in our minds, we think there are. So anyone from a close friend to a stranger across the planet, we think will see our work and will either like it, dislike it, judge it in some way. And I think this can create a subtle nudge in a direction to create work for an audience, or we start imagining what other people want to see and then start creating in the direction of that and veering away slightly from how we really want to create. So I think it's really important, even if you are working as an artist or work in an environment where your work does need to be shared and seen and liked, then that's fine. And I think in your own time, there needs to be a space where you can cultivate and create art that is solely for your pleasure and solely for you, and not necessarily to be shared at all. It would just be for creating as if no one's looking. And I think there's be a difference in what you create, because I know for myself, if I'm creating something for just the sheer joy of creating it, and I don't share it on social media and I don't put it on my website and it's not for sale, there can be a different feel to that work other than what I would create if I am doing it for public consumption. And that's where that subtle difference can come in. And I think when you're starting out and you're developing a style and you're practicing your art, then I don't disagree with sharing it. I think it's great to put it out there and share it. But I also think it's great to cultivate and time and space to just be creating just for yourself and just exactly what you want to be making, not for anyone else's eyes, not for any likes or comments, not for any vanity metrics, just solely for your creative reasons for creating and purpose of creating. So it's not for anything other than your own eyes. And I think if we're just creating knowing, let's say you're doing one piece and you've just decided that this piece will not be shared with anyone but yourself, there's a freedom in that when you create, when you know no one's ever going to see it. And there's a pressure when you create, when you know people are going to see it. It's the difference between creating with someone looking over your shoulder while you're painting and making art when no one's in the room and you're just on your own. They're all subtle shifts, but they are differences that can impact us. So I think if you've got an art practice and you do share your work, and I'm a big fan of sharing work, I'm not averse to it. I run a business, I have to share my work as part of my marketing. There is still space and time to create work that no one gets to see apart from you. And there's lots of work I create that no one gets to see. And I enjoy creating without having a video popping over me recording my content, or me then having to make a caption for it and put it on Instagram and having to talk about it necessarily. Sometimes it's just for the sheer act of creating art because I want to, and it's for no one else's eyes other than mine. And I think there is a difference. And a lot of my collections have begun from a space where it was just for me creating. And then I've developed that to a space where I'm sharing that afterwards. But the initial cultivation of it and the germination of the idea was always born in a space where nobody was looking. And I think there's something quite powerful when you create, when you think no one is looking and you're not doing it to any avail, to then after you've kind of established that style or established that piece of work, if you want to then go and create some more to share, that's completely different. But I think it's worth having a go at least in creating pieces of art just for yourself, not to share, not to show anybody, even if it's just to germinate an idea and explore it, and then go ahead and share it afterwards if you want to. I think it can be a bit of a mistake if straight away we go to create art just to share. because we can't deny we're human beings. So we do respond, and we do have dopamine hits when we see red dots and likes and comments. And then we can start gearing our work towards just magnetizing more likes and comments, and kind of steering away from our own artistic desires. So I always think, in some respects, hold some space back for yourself and some time back for yourself, just to create for you and nobody else. And just see how it feels. See how it feels inside when you're creating, what the differences are. Are there differences in the outcome of work? Do you just prefer creating artwork to share, or do you just want to keep it to yourself and not share it at all? It's kind of just like a bit of an experiment to see how you fare in it all. But I think I'm an advocate of it. I'm an advocate of creating work just for yourself sometimes, and not for public consumption. So if you have any questions about this week's episode, or there's any topics you'd like me to cover in any coming episodes, then you can contact me at illustratingrain@gmail.com, and I shall see you again next week. Bye.